Hi, I'm Robert Greaves, and this is The Point. This week we're talking to Diana Wu David, the author of Future Proof. This is part 2. Part 1 we've already aired, so I look forward to talking to you now, Diana. Thank you for being here. We're going to talk about young professionals, particularly in Hong Kong, and the pressures they're under. So how about young professionals or entrepreneurs who are ambitious, trying to grind their way up the ladder of success? Many executives would recognize this because this is something they've gone through before. But for young professionals who've just entered the field, they're ready to make a huge personal sacrifice to pursue that perfect LinkedIn career. In your experience, is it more challenging to get your kind of message through to these people? Do they reject what you say, or do they listen these days?
I have to say that I was surprised that so many young professionals are interested in this kind of message. And I sometimes feel like the millennial generation and Gen Z are teaching us a better way to work and live. And the comments that I had, starting with, I think, my TEDx talk in Hong Kong, I went out to talk about my journey as an executive and then some of the changes and the catalyst for making change in my life. And I was really surprised that I had so many 20-year-olds that came up to me and said, "You're talking about me. I have been working for 2 years and I already can see the cracks in the wall. I just don't think that I want to work in this particular way. I want to have a 60-year career, and I want to continuously learn." And there are all these things that we pay lip service to in corporates usually, but they're demanding more. It's a completely different game for them. And we're in a place in the macro economy where they can demand it because talent is scarce.
Where did this come from, these values that they have? Because when I was young and going up the ladder, we just sacrificed ourselves all the time, stayed late at the office, did whatever the boss asked us to do. There was no pushback. How did they get these values? Where did it come from?
Robert, they're looking at us going, "Really? Okay. That's all you got?" I think that really there is a sense of consumerism at work. So we're now spoiled for choice. We can get whatever, flavor of beverage or candy or whatever, Airbnb. So they bring that to, I think we all bring that to work, that sense that, work should fit me because I'm special. And in terms of the work ethic, I think that there's an extraordinary work ethic among young people. I don't think that that's changed. I just think that the ability for them to work anywhere is much more acceptable. The ability for them to voice what they think is interesting and right. I mean, my first job was working for Henry Kissinger, and I remember feeling that way. I remember walking down the call and thinking, why doesn't Henry Kissinger ask me what I think about foreign policy? Right. So there is the hubris of youth that will always be there. But some of the ideas about flexible work, about outcomes instead of hours, I think is really smart.
So it's a real, almost concierge way of doing things. They want service when they go on vacation, they want choices when they buy things, and they want choices in their work life, it sounds like.
Don't you?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I wish I'd thought of this earlier. So let's get back to Hong Kong, because we are in Hong Kong. It is really not that way, I think, in the workplace in Hong Kong. It's substantially unsustainable. And what would employers have to do, or what should they be doing to make it better for the young people coming up?
I've thought a lot about this because unemployment in Hong Kong is really low, but the actual wage for many people starting out, especially in Hong Kong, is also really low. So you have people who are at a wage and sort of stuck there that don't ever progress up. So, and that's hard, and you have to make all these choices on a lower salary, and you almost don't have the bandwidth to invest in upskilling or climbing. And so it creates a very difficult system where people are starting out and they have an idea that they can actually make progress, and they start out low and they stay that way, and they're not able to have some of the milestones. We all go through life thinking, I'm gonna get married and I'm gonna get a house and I'm gonna get a job and all those things. And a lot of those are kind of being disrupted. What a job gets you is being
So
different.
all right, the employers can do what then in that case?
Well, when I wrote the book Future Proof, I thought I would write a book about what companies were doing to shepherd us into the future. And what I found was very little. And so I think companies are struggling to manage a multi-generational workplace. They are starting. They are, first of all, listening. So one of the clients I worked with had designed a program for the young people in their company without ever consulting them. It was flexible work, but none of the people wanted to actually go home and work because they lived with their parents and it was loud and it was messy. So I think number one is listen. So the second point, in terms of things employers can do to make things better for young people in Hong Kong, I think is flexibility. And you see this starting to happen, but maybe it needs to happen, a little faster. So people can have a job where they can be flexible to either pursue side careers or take care of children or elderly. And then really the third thing, I think, is to reevaluate the proposition that they offer to people. I think that in many cases it is about paying staff a fair wage and paying them better. And we have not really seen advocation or any kind of progress on that front in, frankly, the decade or so that I've been looking at it.
Well, I'd have to agree that money's a good motivator. I would say that's a great idea, but I also hear what you're saying is it's more than money, it's other incentives, and it probably involves career, probably involves other side benefits as well. One thing I want to ask you is, in all of this that you're saying, it seems to me, with regards to young people in Hong Kong, that if this is the case today, they may have to leave Hong Kong and either go to China or go someplace else to find work that's meaningful throughout the region. And that sounds to me kind of a grim reality, but is that what you're coming down to as well?
I don't think it's just Hong Kong, first of all, but I think that mobility for economic progress is as old as time. I mean, I'm American. My grandfather came from Denmark to the United States to seek his fortune. I came to Hong Kong 20 years ago, to broaden my horizon, and I'm still here. So I don't think that there's should Hong Kong people go. It is an economic reality. It is a modern reality that in order to make the progress that you might like in your career, you may have to move around a bit. So I guess the answer is yes, but it's a qualified yes, because I do think that mobility is good for all kinds of people. It has not just to do with Hong Kong.
I guess you're saying there'll be a larger migration of people around the world in decades to come.
Potentially.
Okay. All right. Interesting. I just want to get a quick update. What are your latest projects? What are you doing these days? Speaking? What are you up to?
Well, I have just finished an online course, which was fantastic, with people from all over the world coming together, talking about the sort of horizontal loyalty you have of people in transition, trying to hold each other accountable and have great resources to learn and develop. Because I think many companies can't really fulfill the professional development needs of their staff. So people are taking that on personally in order to advance in their careers. So that leveraging online course for a global community, the Future Proof Tribe, is one thing. And the second thing is really working with places like World Economic Forum, OECD, the American Association of Retired People, to try to figure out the root problems and the big mega trends that are really affecting the future of work. So aging is one of them, and demographics. Technology is really which work will the humans do, and human augmentation. And globalization, I think, I almost feel like I can't touch that one because there's so much going on in the world we don't know about. But really thinking about what's in the future and how it's going to affect the future of work, and what we can do in society to change that.
Wow. Is there another book coming out soon?
Not soon, but certainly there's another book inside of me.
Great. Okay. Well, as we've said before, this is the point, this program. If a young Hong Kong executive were to walk in the door, or we have a young lady off camera way over here, what would you say to them about their careers and about work?
I would say to not worry, to think about what they like, to take small tests and iterate from there, because your career is going to last a really long time. So really thinking about the small pieces that will make up that larger mosaic that grows and shifts over time is the new way to approach work. And the second thing I would say is have fun. Otherwise, what's the point?
Diana, David, thank you very much. And that's the point for this week. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and let's continue the dialogue.